Tanzania, Uganda, India, Croatia, and the United States. With over 300,000 students and alumni from 190 countries and partnerships with major multinationals like Mercedes-Benz, Microsoft, Coca-Cola, and MTN, Regenesis stands as a distinguished international higher education institution. Our corporate education division offers diverse programs for various managerial levels in business, government, nonprofits, and state-owned enterprises. We tailor these programs to organizational needs, enhancing productivity and fostering innovation. Digital Regenesis prepares professionals for the digital era with programs in data science, AI, cybersecurity, digital marketing, project management, and more. Allowing students to study now and pay when they earn is Ed for All, our innovative approach to education financing. Denanda Talent, our bespoke recruitment agency, is dedicated to launching your career journey post-graduation. My Wealth Investments, offering a wealth of knowledge, is a gateway to financial mastery. FinEd Tech is at the forefront, revolutionizing your educational experience with state-of-the-art tech solutions. Enhancing our comprehensive educational approach, Healthy offers a wide range of services, clubs, classes, and offerings, including a gym and tailored fitness programs for our students. We also offer a diverse culinary experience at Reg Cafe, catering to all preferences, from hearty meals to healthy snacks. We commit to supporting your journey towards dream realization, leadership development, and contributing to a better world. As your lifelong learning partner, we wish you happiness and success. Welcome to Regenesis. Our mission is to awaken the potential of individuals and organizations, helping them realize their dreams. We understand everyone has unique talents, often hindered by self-limiting beliefs and fears. At Regenesis, we empower our students to overcome these barriers, achieving greatness through high-quality management and leadership programs. These programs focus on holistic development, intellectual, emotional, spiritual, physical, and financial growth. Regenesis extends its educational services globally, with Business School, School of Public Management, School of Law, School of Finance, School of Technology, and School of Education. We have campuses and offices across South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, India, Croatia, and the United States. With over 300,000 students and alumni from 190 countries and partnerships with major multinationals like Mercedes-Benz, Microsoft, Coca-Cola, and MTN, Regenesis stands as a distinguished international higher education institution. Our corporate education division offers diverse programs for various managerial levels in business, government, nonprofits, and state-owned enterprises. We tailor these programs to organizational needs, enhancing productivity and fostering innovation. Digital Regenesis prepares professionals for the digital era with programs in data science, AI, cybersecurity, digital marketing, project management, and more. Allowing students to study now and pay when they earn is Ed for All, our innovative approach to education financing. Denanda Talent, our bespoke recruitment agency, is dedicated to launching your career journey post-graduation. My Wealth Investments, offering a wealth of knowledge, is a gateway to financial mastery. FinEd Tech is at the forefront, revolutionizing your educational experience with state-of-the-art tech solutions. Enhancing our comprehensive educational approach, Healthy offers a wide range of services, clubs, classes, and offerings, including a gym and tailored fitness programs for our students. We also offer a diverse culinary experience at Reg Cafe, catering to all preferences, from hearty meals to healthy snacks. We commit to supporting your journey towards dream realization, leadership development, and contributing to a better world. As your lifelong learning partner, we wish you happiness and success. Welcome to Regenesis. Our mission is to awaken the potential of individuals and organizations, helping them realize their dreams. We understand everyone has unique talents, often hindered by self-limiting beliefs and fears. At Regenesis, we empower our students to overcome these barriers, achieving greatness through high-quality management and leadership programs. These programs focus on holistic development, intellectual, emotional, spiritual, physical, and financial growth. Regenesis extends its educational services globally, with Business School, School of Public Management, School of Law, School of Finance, School of Technology, and School of Education. We have campuses and offices across South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, India, Croatia, and the United States. With over 300,000 students and alumni from 190 countries and partnerships with major multinationals like Mercedes-Benz, Microsoft, Coca-Cola, and MTN, Regenesis stands as a distinguished international higher education institution. Our corporate education division offers diverse programs for various managerial levels in business, government, nonprofits, and state-owned enterprises. We tailor these programs to organizational needs, enhancing productivity and fostering innovation. Digital Regenesis prepares professionals for the digital era with programs in data science, AI, cybersecurity, digital marketing, project management, and more. Allowing students to study now and pay when they earn is Ed for All, our innovative approach to education financing. Denanda Talent, our bespoke recruitment agency, is dedicated to launching your career journey post-graduation. My Wealth Investments, offering a wealth of knowledge, is a gateway to financial mastery. FinEd Tech is at the forefront, revolutionizing your educational experience with state-of-the-art tech solutions. Enhancing our comprehensive educational approach, Healthy offers a wide range of services, clubs, classes, and offerings, including a gym and tailored fitness programs for our students. We also offer a diverse culinary experience at Reg Cafe, catering to all preferences, from hearty meals to healthy snacks. We commit to supporting your journey towards dream realization, leadership development, and contributing to a better world. As your lifelong learning partner, we wish you happiness and success. Welcome to Regenesis. Our mission is to awaken the potential of individuals and organizations, helping them realize their dreams. We understand everyone has unique talents, often hindered by self-limiting beliefs and fears. At Regenesis, we empower our students to overcome these barriers, achieving greatness through high-quality management and leadership programs. These programs focus on holistic development, intellectual, emotional, spiritual, physical, and financial growth. Regenesis extends its educational services globally, with Business School, School of Public Management, School of Law, School of Finance, School of Technology, and School of Education. We have campuses and offices across South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, India, Croatia, and the United States. With over 300,000 students and alumni from 190 countries and partnerships with major multinationals like Mercedes-Benz, Microsoft, Coca-Cola, and MTN, Regenesis stands as a distinguished international higher education institution. Our corporate education division offers diverse programs for various managerial levels in business, government, nonprofits, and state-owned enterprises. We tailor these programs to organizational needs, enhancing productivity and fostering innovation. Digital Regenesis prepares professionals for the digital era with programs in data science, AI, cybersecurity, digital marketing, project management, and more. Allowing students to study now and pay when they earn is Ed for All, our innovative approach to education financing. Denanda Talent, our bespoke recruitment agency, is dedicated to launching your career journey post-graduation. My Wealth Investments, offering a wealth of knowledge, is a gateway to financial mastery. FinEd Tech is at the forefront, revolutionizing your educational experience with state-of-the-art tech solutions. Enhancing our comprehensive educational approach, Healthy offers a wide range of services, clubs, classes, and offerings, including a gym and tailored fitness programs for our students. We also offer a diverse culinary experience at Reg Cafe, catering to all preferences, from hearty meals to healthy snacks. We commit to supporting your journey towards dream realization, leadership development, and contributing to a better world. As your lifelong learning partner, we wish you happiness and success. Welcome to Regenesis. Our mission is to awaken the potential of individuals and organizations, helping them realize their dreams. We understand everyone has unique talents, often hindered by self-limiting beliefs and fears. At Regenesis, we empower our students to overcome these barriers, achieving greatness through high-quality management and leadership programs. These programs focus on holistic development, intellectual, emotional, spiritual, physical, and financial growth. Regenesis extends its educational services globally, with Business School, School of Public Management, School of Law, School of Finance, School of Technology, and School of Education. We have campuses and offices across South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, India, Croatia, and the United States. With over 300,000 students and alumni from 190 countries and partnerships with major multinationals like Mercedes-Benz, Microsoft, Coca-Cola, and MTN, Regenesis stands as a distinguished international higher education institution. Our corporate education division offers diverse programs for various managerial levels in business, government, nonprofits, and state-owned enterprises. We tailor these programs to organizational needs, enhancing productivity and fostering innovation. Digital Regenesis prepares professionals for the digital era with programs in data science, AI, cybersecurity, digital marketing, project management, and more. Allowing students to study now and pay when they earn is Ed for All, our innovative approach to education financing. Denanda Talent, our bespoke recruitment agency, is dedicated to launching your career journey post-graduation. My Wealth Investments, offering a wealth of knowledge, is a gateway to financial mastery. FinEd Tech is at the forefront, revolutionizing your educational experience with state-of-the-art tech solutions. Enhancing our comprehensive educational approach, Healthy offers a wide range of services, clubs, classes, and offerings, including a gym and tailored fitness programs for our students. We also offer a diverse culinary experience at Reg Cafe, catering to all preferences, from hearty meals to healthy snacks. We commit to supporting your journey towards dream realization, leadership development, and contributing to a better world. As your lifelong learning partner, we wish you happiness and success. Welcome to Regenesis. Our mission is to awaken the potential of individuals and organizations, helping them realize their dreams. We understand everyone has unique talents, often hindered by self-limiting beliefs and fears. At Regenesis, we empower our students to overcome these barriers, achieving greatness through high-quality management and leadership programs. These programs focus on holistic development, intellectual, emotional, spiritual, physical, and financial growth. Regenesis extends its educational services globally, with Business School, School of Public Management, School of Law, School of Finance, School of Technology, and School of Education. We have campuses and offices across South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, India, Croatia, and the United States. With over 300,000 students and alumni from 190 countries and partnerships with major multinationals like Mercedes-Benz, Microsoft, Coca-Cola, and MTN, Regenesis stands as a distinguished international higher education institution. Our corporate education division offers diverse programs for various managerial levels in business, government, nonprofits, and state-owned enterprises. We tailor these programs to organizational needs, enhancing productivity and fostering innovation. Digital Regenesis prepares professionals for the digital era with programs in data science, AI, cybersecurity, digital marketing, project management, and more. Allowing students to study now and pay when they earn is Ed for All, our innovative approach to education financing. Denanda Talent, our bespoke recruitment agency, is dedicated to launching your career journey post-graduation. My Wealth Investments, offering a wealth of knowledge, is a gateway to financial mastery. FinEd Tech is at the forefront, revolutionizing your educational experience with state-of-the-art tech solutions. Enhancing our comprehensive educational approach, Healthy offers a wide range of services, clubs, classes, and offerings, including a gym and tailored fitness programs for our students. We also offer a diverse culinary experience at Reg Cafe, catering to all preferences, from hearty meals to healthy.
Tasty.
So thank you. Thanks.
Are there more lights in the front, please, for the panelists? Good morning. Good morning to everyone. Welcome to Regenesis. I'd hoped to meet you before we started, but I got held up in another meeting that just overextended, so my apologies for that. But I'll get to interact with you while you take the stage as well. So good morning, everyone. Oh, let's try that again. Are we going to put our panelists to sleep? And they've traveled here through traffic, braving the cold, and bringing in a wonderful warm energy to our room. So let's try that again. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to our esteemed panelists. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. My name is Indrani Reddy. I'm the COO at Regenesis Group of Companies. Part of that is our School of Technology. And so we're super impressed to be aligned with you on today's topic, utilizing cloud-based learning solutions in the banking, finance, and insurance sector. We've seen the sector evolve phenomenally, I would say particularly in the last 3 decades. from traditional, transactional, customer-centric, personal relationships, moving beyond into what we have now, very much a global village where people are hesitant, and COVID didn't help us at all. It made people actually transition if they were resistant prior to having online engagements, to using their smartphones more diligently, while we see Generation Alpha just are the tech teens and take to it so easily. The generations before them, like the X generation, the baby boomers, haven't quite taken on there. And that's where the financial sector really relies on. You rely on the wealth of the prior generation and the transition into the future generation. So the banking, finance, and insurance sectors are increasingly adopting cloud-based learning solution to enhance workforce development and operational efficiency. The key challenges include ensuring data security, integrity, legacy systems, and I think your biggest challenge that we want to talk about over and above this is actually, how do you deal with the resistance of change? And we have an HR specialist here as well amongst our techies. So on the HR side, we're really looking to see and understand what are the plans for this future leadership, of enhancing change, of becoming more, of adapting to be more agile. We talk about agile methodologies around technology, but surely the people, the human bots, need to be as agile as the technology that's evolving. AI and machine learning, personalized learning experience. How do we embrace AI? Especially, and I'm going back to the generational gaps, you'll get two generations that sees it as a threat, and the current generation that sees this as, wow, I can put my feet up, I'm going to have more done for me. And between that, what is the balance? So how do we evolve that AI becomes part and parcel as a partner to us than it is a threat? I'm going to introduce the panelists so that you know the experts that are going to be enlightening us today. By no particular order, Graham Lockley from Investec, if you can wave at us, Graham. Graham is the Chief Architect and Group Head of Engineering at Investec. He's a distinguished professional with a over almost 2-decade career at Investec, following significant roles at Discovery with Discovery Life and Discovery Invest. With a master's degree in computer science and 30 years of software industry experience, Graham has specialized in financial services for 2.5 decades. I know Ron Bortas is dying to meet you, Graham, because he heads up our School of Finance and ESG as well. He oversees the solution design of Investec systems in South Africa and the UK, ensuring best engineering practices. Graham, if I go on, I'm not going to be able to introduce everyone else. So they'll get to know you as we interact with you. Bruce Pavley. Let's give Graham a round of applause. Bruce Pavley, Head of Technology, Innovation, Data and Infrastructure at Time Bank. Now, Bruce, I'm sure the traditional bankers saw you as the enemy when Time Bank came into South Africa, right?
They still do.
They do. So this is going to be quite an exciting discussion, right? You know what they see? Keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer, right? Bruce is a dynamic driven IT executive with over 3 decades experience in problem solving. I must say these gents look pretty young for when I look at the decades of experience they have, right? I'm sure it's the tech that they do and working with the new technologies that keep them young. You know, they say a man is as young as the woman he holds, right? In tech, I think it's as young as the programs that you're developing, right? So he has over 3 decades experience in application development, business and fraud operations, architecture design, AWS cloud and cybersecurity. His experience also includes running multiple strategic programs of work, including the IT system transformation of large financial institutes. Thank you so much, Bruce. Let's give Bruce a round of applause. Dr. Michael Modiba, Database Infrastructure Lead, Standard Bank Group. That's you. Thank you. Dr. Michael ensures the resilience, security, and availability on Oracle platforms with a proven track record in mobilizing cross-functional teams to address system outages and drive strategic improvements. He also contributes as a keynote speaker, board member, and digital business researcher. We need lots more of you, Dr. Michael, to influence the landscape and educate and bring people closer to technology and what's happening. Dr. Madiba actively engages in academia as an external postgrad research, and so taken on the path of academia as well as IT technological robustness in bank technology. Thank you very much for joining us. We're working together. I can see that. You're reading me now. Sean Barrington from Ernst & Young. He's a partner in the technology consulting business. Sean Barrington.
I'm listening what you're going to say about me.
Let's see what we say about Sean. Says a partner. Wow, Sean, that's a lot of accolades to get up there with a consulting firm like Ernst & Young. And Sean brings in over 2 decades of experience in driving technology change. So really around the topic I was talking about, how do we drive change from a people, process, culture perspective? Mindset shifts from fixed to fluidity that's required. So I'm looking forward to that type of input today. With a solid educational background and a chartered accountant certification from SAICA. Ron, these are all your people. Sean's background includes pivotal roles at PwC. Michael, you've got a friend here, as well as Standard Bank. His extensive experience in executive management, financial audits, and strategic thinking has uniquely positioned him to help clients achieve their aspirations in a technologically enabled world. He's known for his innovative approach and resilient. Sean continues to create future-proof experiences for businesses and their customers through bespoke solutions and strategic partnerships. I love your financial experience that has transitioned into technology. Thank you so much, Sean, for joining us. Murendi, I hope I'm not butchering your name. And that's from a vegan. That's from a vegan when I use the word butcher, you know? Am I saying it correctly? Murendeni. I like that. Murendeni Nemakula. I got Nemakula practice because one of our directors is a Nemakula. And I thought I'm just going to go with Miss Nemakula, but Murendeni, got you. Head of Management Information Business Intelligence. So I think professional intelligence comes with business intelligence for sure. And analytics. Murendeni hails from Bidvest Bank. She's a recognized leader in data management and business intelligence with a strong educational background. Her career includes pivotal roles at Postbank, Bitanium, showcasing expertise in stats, business intelligence tools, and analytics. Known for her dedication to digital transformation, Murendeni emphasizes data quality, governance, and robust infrastructure. I know there's 2 more people that I need to introduce on my panel. Have I introduced everyone? No, I'm missing someone. Yeah. Masiabo Mosa. Yeah? Am I saying it right? Masiabo Mosia. Did I get it right? Is it rolling nicely? I like that. Masiabo Mosia. Right? I deliberately left her for the end of our panelist introductions before I get to our very own Cory Bakker, because she's got a very different background, but influencing the tech space. Masiabo is organizational development at Rand Mutual Assurance. So she's an accomplished HR executive with a background in organizational psychology and has disciplines in employee relation, talent acquisition. And it's important for us to understand, how do we as South Africans actually acquire talent where we've become known to supply the rest of the world with the brain drain? So I'd be very keen to understand how you bring that back into our playing field, or is it even necessary when we look at how the world operates now? You could be anywhere in the world contributing to an Investec, to a Standard Bank. You don't physically need to be in South Africa. So I'd really like to hear what are the new genius ideas that talent acquisition and strategic HR management is bringing into such an agile, robust, disruptive tech world. She's done significant work as well. There's another partner here, Bidvest Bank. So you've got an ally here and possibly know each other. And she's held significant positions at Eskom Pension and Provident Fund. Let's hope, and I'm sure you are the person that's getting them out there as well, getting the right people to stop this load reduction. So her leadership is really in transformation and empowerment trust. And then our very own Cory Bakker, who is the CEO. Let's give Masiabo, a round of applause. I'm one day ahead for Women's Month, and sadly, for this panel, we only have 2 women. You know, we need to have more women representation here to Regenesis events team. Corey is our CEO of FinEdTech. He's a seasoned executive with over 2 decades of experience, really building high-performance team in the fintech as well as an edtech world. His expertise spanning international markets helped him develop and execute strategic payment platforms with over 300 payment methods across 44 African countries, and led the geo expansion of a Nasper's own fintech company in Africa. I think he's better well known for his genius behind the for Naspers, and he was really the genius around this. He's exceptionally passionate. I get to work with him closely, so I can see the passion around harnessing the power of technology to improve African business landscape, and that has aided us phenomenally and given us the confidence where we now, as Regenesis in South Africa, Nigeria, India, Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, and we're going into 5 more geographies this year in, if I remember them correctly, Botswana, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Mauritius, and Namibia. And this is the type of technology that runs ahead of my execution for us to be there. Without much ado, I'm now going to hand over to Corey, who's our moderator. Good luck to you with such experts on your panel. And we're looking forward to, as also, I neglected to say welcome to over 300 viewers online. We're sad not to see you fill up our auditorium, but this is exactly what's happened. This is exactly what I'm talking. Post-pandemic, people are okay to just connect from where they are. But I think as HR and organizational people, we have a role to play in how we also connect our people socially, to be able to grow through interaction and peer learning, not just online. So over to you, Corey Baka, and we're looking forward to your pearls of wisdom through getting this panel to spew it all out for us. Have a wonderful morning with us, and please keep your questions for the end as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Indrani. Thank you for that eloquent introduction to each panel member. I'm sure they are very happy with that intro. I would like to also just thank everybody for joining online and all the guys that's come down. I know the traffic is not good today, but welcome. And then I'd like to hand over to each of you. Give me a slight intro over and above what Indrani has introed on you. And let's touch base on what you know about cloud-based learning solutions and start the discussion there. Should we start with Sean?
No pressure. I think the intro was really good. I can't do any better justice than the voiceover. And I think just and I do want that for my CV, just by the way. I think we were talking about it a bit earlier, and the whole world of cloud-based learning has fundamentally changed the way all of us learn on a daily basis. And one of the more radical kind of experiences we've had with cloud-based learning is real-time kind of augmentation on skills and basis. And if you think we were talking about it a bit early on AI, one of the growing themes we've picked up is how does AI start to augment your learning experience on a daily basis? Think about call centers, right? In your typical call center, we know what it is. There's a deck of books, there's a deck of papers, there's a deck of files. And what we started to see is quite a radical shift to real-time thinking, real-time analysis. So imagine a world where I call up and I want to understand product pricing. In the old world, everyone would have had to understand the rules by themselves. In the new world, the script listens, the script prompts, the script recommends, and then the scripts will also very much come and tell you how you could have changed the question differently in the long run. So I guess perspective, radically different world, radically different outcome, real-time augmentation, real-time skills creates quite a different experience. So maybe that's a starting point. It's a little bit out there, it's a little bit extreme, but it's a fundamentally different way in which we look about learning in the new world.
Thanks, Sean.
Cool, thank you. Thanks, Sean. I don't think online learning is anything new, to be honest. How many of you have got a phone, a smartphone? How many of you got Google? And I'm sure you've all used Google, right? Why did you use Google? Because you wanted to know something you didn't know. And for me, that's exactly what online learning is all about. But now we're taking it to the next level where it's no longer asking a question, getting an answer based on the understanding of your question. You're now getting a lot more context to the answer of your question. But also remember, online learning, if you're talking about AI models, it only knows what people teach it. It doesn't teach itself. So it can go scan the internet, it can learn things on the internet, but there's also times where it learns the wrong thing. So don't always think that Google is always right, AI is always right. You must always question it. You must always apply your mind, and you must always make sure that the answer you're getting is reasonable within the context of the question.
Thanks, Bruce.
Yeah, I think not to repeat on what the panelist has said, I think one thing that stands out for online learning management system is that with the vast or huge volumes of information out there on cloud, I think what stands out for learning management system is the fact that now we've got flexibility to customize our learning, and the machine indeed are able to analyze and see what kind of learning space or learning journey they can build for you, personalize it in such a way that you can grow in your own pace, and it can identify what is it that you need to learn in order for you to grow as an individual, as opposed to the traditional learning platform where the same context of learning is offered to different kind of people from different background. So here there's an opportunity for growth at each person individual capacity. So for me, cloud learning management system is a platform that is fit for each individual on their different capacity.
Thanks, Marindini.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. So I think for me, when I look at the era that we live in, I look at three things. Mainly, online learning comes with flexibility. You know, that thing that you can learn at your own space, at your own pace, at your own time, anywhere. Especially if you look at it now around the world. If you're taking a long flight or a long trip, you have got that flexibility of having a mobile phone to learn and browse around things that you can. And it also gives you accessibility. I mean, many of us, as per Bruce's comment, have got mobile cell phones. So those devices allow us to be flexible and to have access to information wherever we are, whenever we are. That's what it does. I mean, especially in the banking industry. I mean, banking is no longer where you go to a branch and you want to do things. You can learn things online, download apps, and do stuff online. That's accessibility itself. And also, I mean, cost effective. I mean, the cost of going to buy textbooks, to do other stuff. You can do things for free on YouTube. You can do things for free, even on Facebook itself, Udemy. There's cheaper courses and stuff that you can do. These platforms gives us, in my opinion, those three things: flexibility, accessibility, cost effective. That's what I think the current generation is blessed with, and many more generations to come. There will be more dynamic stuff that will change in terms of those three concepts. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Michael.
Hi, everyone. Masabo. I have direct experience when it comes to implementing learning management systems. And as wonderful as they are, I mean, you've heard from the other panel members, it's also been interesting to see that the take on of e-learning has not really kicked off the way that we had anticipated. And those are some of the conversations that we're going to have in terms of what we're seeing from a human capital perspective that's preventing kind of the momentum of adopting e-learning within organizations. I've been in spaces where, you know, there was a lot of focus on traditional forms of learning, or formal learning as we call it. And we've been saying that we need to introduce blended learning, which is why like e-learning has become the buzzword within the learning space. And also where I've implemented e-learning and we haven't really gotten the value. I think the amount of investments that goes into these solutions, and then you see the utilization, you see the feedback from people in terms of their usefulness, it just doesn't match. There's such a disconnect, and I'm looking forward to the conversations where we kind of uncover what are the blockages and why is it not picking up the way that we want it to.
Good morning. Boy, I'm glad I'm going last. I think I'm the skeptic on the panel. I want to separate knowledge from learning. I think we have access to enormous volumes of knowledge, but I don't think reading is learning. I think learning for me is an intrinsic human activity. I think learning comes through feedback, and as adults, we learn through reflection, where you sit back and think about the effect of your actions and your decisions, and you hypothesize what you could do differently. So I think there's this euphoria around what digital gives to us. I think most of all, what digital has taken away from us is a connected experience, and for me, learning is a very connected experience. Where we do have mechanical learning in a financial services company, where we need people to learn about regulation and they need to write tests. And for that very mechanical style of learning, I think it's fantastic, right? If people need to learn about something to do something, that can be fantastic. But really deep learning and insight, I think digital devices, I'm not sure whether they're living up to the promise.
Thanks, Graham. So you've started with the other point of view. So let's feed it. Exactly. The youth of today, they're looking for a hotspot and a point to connect, and where they can get as much data from that point to consume it, maybe at their convenience at another spot. So let's talk about the benefits of a online cloud-based type learning solution. And how do you move into that space? So who wants to take on that question?
I think for me, one of the benefits that you will have is around scalability. I mean, if you look at the cloud platforms, they offer that scalability in a way that their courses can be scaled to feed specific group, and they can also be you either reduce them, or you can also scale them up just to fit a specific group, right? But the other thing is around accessibility that I spoke about. This cloud-based learning gives a lot of accessibility to a lot of people. To Karam's point, but it also differentiates between, are you either learning on that thing or to know how to do something, or you're just there just to consume the information. That's another thing that we need to make sure that we become careful of, because I can also be forced at work to do a specific course. I'm just there, but I'm not learning, but I'm just doing it just for compliance. Like next, I'm watching the video and all those things. So learning is very important. I mean, also traditional classrooms, I think people are more connected when they're in there. There's discussions, there's all those things. I remember watching a television when they were talking about Harvard. They say you can never separate the experience of being at the Harvard institution of learning. If you are there, the students are there, and everyone is there, you can never do that. Online, yeah, yes, there's learning there. It gives us those accessibility and stuff like that. But I still feel that we need to have that connection, and we also need to learn for the right reasons and learn to implement, learn to execute. Because you can go and learn and be unable to execute. And I also think in the midst of other people, you are able to connect with them, reflect on your mistakes, and then learn from. I mean, at home I can use ChatGPT to learn and write those tests when I'm at home. Then at the end of the day, I don't know how to do those things because ChatGPT has done it for me. So learning is also be able to apply what you're doing. So this platform must also be able to give us that thing that we must be able to apply the learnings we've done, be able to go out there and make a difference, in terms of what we've learned, in my opinion.
Thanks, Dr. Michael. Just a follow-up then. How do you measure that interactive, or from a push type of cloud-based push down? I listened to your answer. Just how do you envision that interaction happening between, and that measurement of that interaction? As you say, you don't want to just choose that and watch one after the other. How would you go about measuring that interaction then?
So yeah, I'll give my opinion. So in my opinion, I think one of the things that we'll measure is if someone goes and learns something online, I would look at, are they able to come and implement and make a difference in their work? Are they improving work-wise based on the course that we've sent them, the stuff that they've done? Because for me, when you learn, you must come back a different person. You must come back a different experience. So that's how I look at it as one of the measure. And also, some courses become boring. You don't even complete them along the way. When you start learning them, the videos, they just become boring. But I think online platforms that are more interactive, those visuals are there. You get excited when you want to learn them. People who've been watching Games of the Thrones, that series. You're waiting for the next episode to come out. So learning must be like that you're waiting for the next episode to come out. But now, if you're sitting there, that thing is boring, and then we won't be able to see the difference when you come back. We'll come back and tell us you've completed a course, but when you have to implement, it's a challenge. I can tell you, if you go and talk to people who are crazy about Games of Thrones, they will tell you all the lines that are in there. Then you can see that people are glued to those screens. So I think learning should that be exciting to a way that it makes a difference when we're sitting with you. Then we can see, oh, this person was really glued to this thing. He can make a difference. So I think those are the stuff that we need to do. I'll pass over to my colleagues.
Yes.
Thanks for that.
Just to add to that, I think studies has shown that humans learn better when they are influenced, not when they are forced to learn something. So I think what makes the difference when people interact through learning is that they get influenced. They learn about each other's spaces and how they are doing things, and what benefits or values they can learn from what other people are doing. And the challenge with that sometimes becomes when we do not know the context or the background story of how other people are implementing solutions in their own organization, and we come and want to implement the same solutions in our organization, which are perhaps not fit for the purpose, or not perfect, or not good enough for where we are in terms of maturity in our organization. So although learning through interactions like in the traditional way is beneficial, it can also have bad influence to some extent, especially when you talk about maybe data security and also compliance, because a lot of information is shared without people not even realizing that we are sharing IP that we're not supposed to be sharing as we are interacting. So online or cloud-based learning also offer that bit of security, because you are learning in a space that is protected. Usually when people are learning online, they are doing it within their organization or during working hours, where there's proper securities, and very limited data can be shared within the participants or the fellow or learners, or in the interactive environment. So I think that is something that we need to consider, especially when it comes to sharing of data security and compliance, because although people are aware, and like in the banks, we do these courses of what is POPI and all of that compliance, all of that. People are not aware when they're interacting that they're sharing information that they're not supposed to be sharing, which is also one of the challenges that we might face in the near future when we start implementing virtual reality, where we expect people to learn with the data that they have, start applying the data that you have in the organization, in the bank, in the cloud platform. Then data security and compliance become a challenge.
No, 100%. I agree with you. I think sometimes weighing up where the security becomes the barrier to entry and the ease of use, and getting that sweet spot right, is one of the biggest challenges we have currently. Because if you over secure it, the accessibility goes out the window, and then there's no adoption or learning that will happen. And I think that's a valid point. Thank you very much. So if we basically build on to that point, and we look at some of the trends that you guys are embarking on for that adoption of cloud-based learning, let's talk about some of those trends.
So I think for this discussion, we need to separate learning into two things, right? So the e-learning, you feed information to a person. The person doesn't respond or supply any information. What you're talking about is where it's interactive. You provide information, you get an answer. You provide information, you get an answer. Now, learning is always about doing a course. To your earlier comment, you experiential learning, right? So I can either learn that a fire is hot by touching it, or I can be told by my parents, don't touch it because it's hot and it'll burn you. But what will I typically do? I'll test it. So, we have to bear in mind that also not all people are the same. I've got two children, they're both in university. One loves online learning. It was made for her. COVID gave us this enlightenment moment that online learning is what my daughter needs. To your point, Michael, she goes at her own speed. On Monday, she would do maths. On Tuesday, she does English. On Thursday, she does Afrikaans. Friday, she does science. Not half an hour every single day. My son, on the other hand, he loves classroom training. And I think where we go wrong as organizations, we try and make everybody the same. And that thinking, I think, is not good. We need to understand people are different, their requirements are different, and they learn differently. And prescribing to someone how they should be learning, in my view, is wrong. You should give them alternate platforms, online classroom, and you can do online classroom training where you can get everybody into a room, you put up a video, and you stop it momentarily and say, what did you learn from it? Do you want to ask any questions? Do you want to discuss it? So it's not saying there's no place for it for everybody, but how you introduce it to everybody is very important. So for me, I think you need to take a step back, separate it into AI type learning and e-learning type learning, and I'm sure those two will merge over time. But to your point around security, we are talking about this quite a lot in our business around how do you protect your corporate data from the online learning capabilities of AI to ensure that you don't release any private business information into the public domain that doesn't belong there. Now, what we're doing is we busy writing a paper that we need to get approved internally. But to your point as well, you can't lock it down. You can't close it. This is something that's coming whether you like it or not. And the people that are going to benefit from it are those people who embrace it, those people who learn to work with it. So it's the same as AI in your job. We've got the saying, AI won't replace you, it will improve you. It will help you go faster. If you're scared of AI, you don't interact with it, you will be replaced by someone who can because they'll be faster than you. So it's all about how do you educate, how do you train people about that. Coming to your point earlier as well, when we talk about compliance, I'm in a bank, I do all that compliance training. It's a pain. It's boring. It's a PowerPoint. You read these slides, you answer those 12 questions. If you get less than 80%, you don't pass, you have to do it again. Then we've got cybersecurity training in our organization from an external company that is cloud-based. Very interactive, very short, sharp, sweet. If you want to know the name, speak to me. I'll happily share it with you afterwards. And the feedback we get from our staff at all levels, all grades, all departments is, why can't all the training be like the cybersecurity training? The nice thing about cloud education is you can get the best. Everybody has access to the best. You don't get stuck with what your internal training department can create or your HR team or the person that's doing it as their 10th job. In our business, we're very small. We've all got multiple hats. And you don't have the time to really focus on creating this wonderful, marvelous training experience. So with online cloud, you can go out there, find this wonderful training platform that inspires people to actually do it.
Yeah, I think you touched on us being aware that people are different. But for me, also, what I've seen is we make a lot of assumptions about solutions. So when we were talking about introducing e-learning, it was about, oh, there's new younger generations coming into the workplace. They prefer to interact with technology. They're going to love e-learning. Well, besides the fact that you can access it at any time, but part of the motivation was to be able to tap into this new workforce and how they want to see organizations or interact with organizations. And that was kind of like a blanket assumption to make because there's different nuances in countries. Firstly, some of the e-learnings that we have, like Udemy's, they are from different context. So when we say it's boring for me could be it's boring because it doesn't touch on what my lived experiences are. So if you look at the HR environment, for example, if you're talking about employee relation, what happens in America, in the UK, in Asian countries is fundamentally different to what we're seeing here. So I have this information and we're packaging it as best class or best practice, but sometimes it's the fit for purpose that Murendeni was speaking about. So those are the things that we don't really dig deep into to say, yes, I'm young, but e-learning is something that I also don't do, right? Because I get into the course and I'm like, 10 minutes, I don't have 10 minutes because I'm used to a 10-second video in TikTok. So it's also about mindset. It's about conditioning and how those things come into play in the types of practices that we adopt in organizations, which is the work that we haven't done.
Sure. And I think the other thing is making time for learning. So I used to work in an organization where we had to do a certain number of e-learning courses. But our day was so full with everything, I didn't have time to go and do that e-learning course because it wasn't the thing that was burning. It wasn't the thing that was on fire. So I think we need to, as organizations, create the space for learning to happen. And we try introduce people to the ability to learn X number of hours per month, but you have to be willing as well, right? It's a bi-directional thing. Give and take. You must be willing to put in the time. But to your point, TikTok is not 4 hours long. I was speaking to a friend yesterday about some e-learning, online learning, and he said the course said it was 4 hours, and it was on YouTube. So he pushed 1.5 times, 2 times. So he started watching this thing at 3 times the speed. And it went from 4 hours to 3.5 hours. And he was like, well, how's this faster? So it was actually 7 hours that was told that's 4 hours, now became 3.5. And I said to him, well, how much did you learn? He learned nothing because he tried to get through it so quickly. So to your point, right, we are building other technologies that you engage with it for 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And I guess the trick is, how do you enable that in e-learning?
Maybe I'm going to just flip it on its head a bit. Is my microphone working? Yes, it's not. No, it is. I don't know. We're going to swap. That sounds a bit better. So what is learning about, right? So learning is about giving us a skill that we can apply on a daily basis to fill a job that we wouldn't have been able to. And I think we're all necessarily talking about learning in the context of big corporates. I stumbled across an organization a few years ago that was very much focused on youth development. And what they were able to do is quite interesting. If there's a advertising campaign in Khayelitsha, let me just pick a random example. What they would do is they would develop a custom push-based learning to send into the township that Bruce can pick up on a Friday morning. What they would then do is, through a learning platform, actually as simple as a very push-based platform, is give Bruce the opportunity at his own pace to complete the training platform. So what happens now is Bruce has got a skill that he's never had before. But then what they did, which is quite interesting, is they'd need to immediately push a job to him. So what this organization is something quite different. They'd done an online learning platform to equip Bruce with a skill he'd never had before, and then immediately given him a job to go and do something he hadn't done before. So a bit of a different spin. I think often we think about it in the big corporate space, but I think those organizations that are able to get learning to that level, to immediately link learning to skills, skills to job, and job to career growth is going to really, really succeed.
Thanks, Sean. Yes, I think what we're seeing is there's certain modern elements coming to the table, and certain providers like your cybersecurity providers that becomes very attractive, and you can see that the adoption is there. So my question is then, when you sit with legacy platforms and traditional learning platforms, how do you promote those platforms that you feel are working in your financial corporate environments, and how do you drive the adoption of these platforms and integrate and move off the legacy or sunset those legacy platforms then? What is your approach to that?
I guess it depends on the definition of legacy, right? And what I'm hearing across
traditional.
But there's a time and place for all, if I hear the point of the conversation, right? So what we've done very successfully at EY is really balance classroom-based learning, and I'm not going to call it traditional, versus online-based learning given the specific intent. Class-based learning is very focused on the engagement, the interaction, and the getting to meet people, done with a specific intent. And the online-based learning is done for a specific compliance-based learning or education-based learning. So in my world, I think we've done a really good job in ensuring the hybrid exists and is fit for purpose, but acknowledging there's a time and place for traditional and a time and place for e-learning.
Yeah, I think I just want to shout out to labeling. You know, we were also I'm old apparently, and therefore I'm okay. Biologically, I am old. All right, I'm closer to death than to birth. That is true, but I think we must deal with people are diverse, and you know, we've spoken about different people have different learning needs, but look, but I do think it's helpful to classify. right? There's I spoke about the compliance click training with a little exam at the end to make sure something did stick. That's a particular style, and I think one must custom a solution that will give you the outcomes you as a corporate require. Then we've got learning tracks that we need a particular skill in the corporate or in a business, and we're incentivized to make sure our people can have the skill, right? And so classroom-based or cloud-based, based on their particular need, is what we go for. But I think there's a third piece, and I want to return agency back to the learner. Is we live in a massively competitive environment, and sometimes when you have this discussion, we sort of make it the trainer's or teacher's responsibility to go and educate. But if anyone wants to be relevant, they must spend time finding ways to improve their skill sets. And then you rely on market forces. So if we've got, and I'm going to use your term, a legacy system, and people aren't using it, well, then we go out of business, right? And that's the impact of market forces. That's a good thing. I think what is tricky is I don't know how much you can really learn in 3 minutes unless it's a trauma, right? You try and do any semi-complex coding, trying to learn a coding concept in 3 minutes, you're going to learn nothing. And so I don't think we must get trapped and in a narrative that people's attention spans are just diminishing. If you want to be relevant, you've got to work on your attention span, right? This isn't entertainment. It's learning. I mean real learning. Hey, it takes dedication and effort, and you got to slow things down to learn. And so I really am a skeptic today. I'm so sorry. I really don't want to get caught up in this. It's an entertainment business, online learning. It's not. It's an education business.
100%. And to just put it into perspective, I think that snack type learning, the question is more around how do you build those puzzle pieces into a bigger space, and how can it contribute to a bigger accreditation or a more module-based type learning. But the snack type learning, this on-the-go learning, is definitely a demand that's out there, and we need to cater for it. Everybody's sitting in traffic, everybody's running from hotspot to hotspot, and everybody has they're working at home and working at the office, and breaks are not the traditional 1 o'clock lunchtime or learning at this particular time. And the question is, how do you drive the adoption firstly? And if you push it into that space, how do you accredit those learnings and that interaction? And I think we spoke about the whole smorgasbord that we have to cater for all the different generations and the styles, and it's evident from the conversation. So let's jump on all these different technologies that's leapfrogging and shooting the lights out. How do we manage compliance around that? And the compliance is always traditionally a bit slower. And how do we match that up? Maybe someone wants to tackle that one.
Okay. The best way to tackle compliance is learning. Understanding what compliance is all about, especially for employees that are already in the organization, within the organization. I think compliance is everybody's responsibilities. Usually people leave compliance to people that maybe in technology, dealing with data, dealing with people's information and stuff like that. But it's everybody's responsibilities to learn about compliance, even in our own personal spaces. What is the impact of me sharing information or signing the register at the door, giving my information? What does that have? What impact can that have on my information being leaked? So it's everybody's responsibility. So understanding how you can tackle compliance, first start with understanding what is it that you need to protect for yourself, and what could happen if you share that information. If you do that, then you think twice before you click a document, because learning platform, especially cloud-based learning, they are out there. Learning is free these days. You can learn anything that you want in any platform out there. But before you click that button, submit your information, ask yourself, what is in there for me? What am I going to benefit? Obviously, there is a catch somewhere. You click a button, you think you are learning a Python, give your information. I work in this organization, this is my position, this is what I do. Before you know it, because information is it's vast and is used for different reasons, there will be a marketing email to your organization saying we are offering this formal training or we are offering this product. So you need to know what information you need to share. You need to also comply. You need to know your organization requirements, compliance requirements, especially, and I'll talk mostly about information because I'm in the data space. What information I can share and what information I cannot share. Sometimes it becomes difficult because me just sharing that I hold this position in this bank, that's enough for people that want to do what do they call it? Spear phishing, to understand everything about my ecosystem, my network, and where I operate. That alone, just by telling or giving an information from a company in India that is offering free training, if you tell them your position, where is it based, and what do they do, that is enough for them to track your company, where you stay, how far could. They will ask you like, what kind of operating arrangement you have? Are you hybrid? Are you working full time in the office? That simple information says a lot about your organization and yourself, what kind of person you are. So understanding compliance is not only limited to what we are forced to learn in the organization in these training materials where we click button, the boring ones, and also understanding it for your own business and security. Because one of the biggest challenges in the world we live in is security, information security. And in the world where we apply machine learning and robotics, it worries me that when we feed these platforms information, what's going to happen very, very soon? Like,
No, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe on that, just on that point, information is vast. Maybe can we also touch base on how we report on those data analytics and the personal data analytics, and then also just let's touch on how do we measure the return on investment on these type of solutions, learning-based, cloud-based solutions that we're pushing through, especially on the financial sector.
It's very soft. Eh? I'm going to answer the management information one, not the return on investment one. I guess the management information one is quite interesting. There's probably two dimensions to think about. I think as humans, we have the desire to track and report everything, and that has a intended and an unintended consequence. So my challenge would be there's compliance-based training that is mandatory, for which there's fines. Absolutely, I get it, right? But the rest of it needs to be a self-learning journey. And you're going to create a massive amount of organizational resentment if you track the fact that Graham did 100 hours and Sean did 40. Actually, it's got to be, well on Graham, you did the 100 hours, don't care, well done, pack on your back, as opposed to driving the bad behavior on penalizing Sean for his 40. On the return of investment, I need to ponder that one a bit. I don't have an answer.
Maybe on that point, we had a developer that did, I don't know how many hundreds of hours on the learning and development app, but one then looked at the work KPIs, and that wasn't so good. So one has to always balance out how much time is spent learning versus how much time you actually get to your corporate outputs as well.
So one of the formulas that is out there to calculate the return on investment for learning is to get the cost for learning. Obviously, if we are doing it through the facilities provided by the organization, the cost of learning minus the time, which can be calculated against the personal development within an organization, and then the implementation cost. So what you have learned and what you are implementing, the cost. Let's say, for example, let's make this a practical example. If I go learn Azure fundamentals, X amount, I've spent X amount, and then I've taken 6 months to implement a solution, let's say a model that saves business, that creates efficiency by saving business 2 hours of their day, and how long I stay in the organization, employee retention based on the skill that I have. So it's a combination of different dimension of cost. Also, the retention is part of that formula. So the longer you stay to maintain and support that solution that you build through the learning, or the solution that you build using the skills that you acquired through learning, the time, the time, the cost of implementation. And now we are talking about something that we can measure, because if I go and learn about Azure, it means that my organization needs to acquire that cloud-based infrastructure and tools and all of that. So from where I am in the data space, it becomes very difficult to measure, because I don't know, for most of you that are architects, you know the design pattern called master slave. You enable other business units to do their work, to create efficiency. So as a slave, you are not able to really measure the return, the money, but you enable salesperson to identify the people that they need to talk to. So from where I'm sitting in the IT or data space, it might be very difficult to calculate in rands and get the exact value of the return. But I enabled other departments or business units to create efficiencies in their day-to-day work.
Yeah, indirect revenue, definitely.
It's impossible.
It is impossible, but
I think one should call it. But let me unpack it a bit further. First of all, if accountants take over your organization's in trouble, right? Because they start driving strategy. They must help you account for your activity. They must not define your activity. And so the return on investment model is calculated for the compliance training, and that's easy. All right. If you need particular skill sets, then you can absolutely calculate it. You know, do we go to an external party or do we use cloud-based? You can calculate it. That's easy. All right. I don't think that's exciting learning, though. You know, that's what you're really looking for. And I'll go back to my opening remarks: is learning is a human activity, and trying to quantify and measure human activity is really, really tricky. And in certain ways, you don't want to do it. I would suggest that if you work for an organization that is insistent on it, then I think you need to go for looking at team effectiveness, measuring effectiveness of teams, running experiments, teams that have undergone certain training, teams that haven't, seeing which one's effectiveness increases. And I think almost qualitatively combined with some playing the long game quantitative stuff will allow you to arrive upon training schedules or training regimes and training practices that allow you to improve. But I think doing a short-term measurement on what is intrinsically a human activity, I think, is destructive, and I would discourage it.
noted. I'm a bit sensitive on time. I would want to pose one more question and open it up to the audience. I think one of the things we haven't touched on is the future. Some of you have mentioned a little bit of AI. There's AR, there's machine learning, there's all these buzz tech words that's flying around. How have you adopted this and incorporated it? And how do you tackling all these disruptive technologies that's coming down? I mean, if you open yourself up to all of them, I think it can be very overwhelming. So let's keep it to the cloud-based learning solutions and all the value adds that's coming down the tech line and what you've had an appetite for.
I'll start by saying it's super exciting. We can't wait for the next generations to come. I think it's going to drastically change the way business operate and people work. And I think it's going to be for the better. So I remember my dad used to wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning or 7 in the morning, get to the office at 8. He had worked till 5. He'd be home at 6. We'd have family time around the dinner table. He didn't have a phone. He didn't have anything bothering him through the night. Weekends was his. Now, where I am, I'm online 24/7, 7 days a week. It doesn't matter. But with AI coming, I think it's going to help us go back and get some personal life balance back. So if I look at my children who are in the early 20s, if I look at people we're employing now in our business that are under 30, they are putting so much focus on them, me, myself. What do I need? My life was all about what does my business need? Who do I work for? How do I keep my employer happy? And then my family came second. What I'm seeing now is the next generation is worried about self first, business second. And I've always wondered now, how is that going to work when they take over our businesses? And what I've come to realize is going to be okay, because they're going to build solutions, they're going to build processes around what they need and how they're going to manage. I remember when I first started work, it was very hierarchical. I worked in one of the big banks. If you were a junior manager, you shared a desk. If you were a middle manager, you got your own desk. It was this big. If you became a senior manager, you got a visitor's chair. If you became a director, you got a little office with a little cabinet, you know. These new guys don't want that. They want to be able to connect with each other, and they want time for themselves. So I think the future is going to be super exciting. It's going to show us a different way of working. It's going to make us more productive. But what does worry me a little bit is people who are not able to acquire the knowledge they need to do this. So it's almost like if you go overseas to Europe, you don't have people putting petrol in motor cars. In South Africa, we've got a huge portion of the population that's employed to fill up cars. It gives them jobs, it gives them money. Why are they there, not in my seat? Opportunity. That's the reason they're there. It's not because they're stupid or they can't. So what worries me in our country is how do we give the people the opportunity that we don't leave some of them behind because of where we're going. We're moving to a huge capability of knowledge work. You have to have knowledge to be employed. You have to be able to do things that use technology mostly. And I don't know what the answer is. And I think as a society, we need to try and answer that question. How do we not leave people behind?
100%, Bruce. I think you've answered it as a disruptive digital bank 100%. I wouldn't have expected less. Does some of the more traditional financial sector also just want to add to that?
Yeah, I think for me, the newer banks, these new ones that are too digital, we also forget that we're leaving the other unbanked people behind. I mean, we still have infrastructure challenges in South Africa. We've got those connectivity challenges, data challenges that we must acknowledge. We might have all the best technologies and all these things, right? But what about the other people that we're leaving behind? So it's a challenge. I think that also needs to be addressed, especially if you're a new bank. I mean, you operate with no branch, nothing, and the other guys who cannot connect to you, they can't. You're gonna leave them far behind, right? And they will rely more on traditional banks, traditional type of stuff like Bruce just mentioned, corner office and all those type of offices. People will still have that mindset because they're left behind. You have the best technology, but they don't have access to it. They don't have the infrastructure. We have electricity challenges. You've got data challenges. So all those challenges also, I think the other traditional type of banks, businesses will still fill that gap for a while until infrastructure challenges have been taken care of, and then they'll slowly move away from that to the newer, new what you call neobanks. So
Can I just
Thank you.
comment on his remark there around the people you bank, right? The disadvantaged, if you want to call them, or the unbanked. Now, we don't have a single branch in our network. We've got a kiosk where you put your thumb and you originate your account there. Everything's online. And what we realized when we launched 5 years ago is not everybody has a smartphone, but everybody has a phone. Now, how many in this room can put up their hand and say they know somebody who does not have any phones? Everybody's hand is down, and maybe online some people would, but I would take it not, because they're online. So what we did is we had a look and said, if everybody has a phone, what is the minimum engagement we need to have with that customer? And I'm sure you would all guess, it's USSD. Now you have to pay for USSD. So there's some free services that we offer so that you don't need to pay for data when you interact with a bank. And on USSD, everybody's phones are USSD compatible. So to your point, Michael, is we try to make sure that we use technology to serve all the different types of customers that we have.
yeah, but Bruce, digital literacy. In some unbanked places, you still need to know how to navigate that thing. Digital literacy, at some people, it will be a challenge because I think interacting with an interface, for me, it's better than using USSD at times because I can see what's happening. But I've seen with USSDs, it do close that gap, but we need more digital literacy at that level.
Thanks, guys. We've run out of time, but let's open up the floor to 1 or 3 questions and then take it from there.
Hello, I'm Alex from Regenesis Corporate Aid. My question is to Michael. I'm going to keep it really brief, but it's really, really hard to talk to older senior people who literally think it's like acceptable to recycle material from 1998. And like, my question is to you, like, how do you even have those conversations with people who are very knowledgeable, but senior, and they don't want to open to new ways of doing things?
So I think, in my opinion, like I think Bruce make a comment around hierarchy, right? So if people are not changing, the technology will make you change. Either way, the people will always find new ways of doing things. I mean, let's look at the Uber concept that came to South Africa. There were a lot of disruptions and fights and all those things, people not accepting it and stuff like that, right? Eventually, people are adopting it. So technology in the world where we're going into, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing things, many things you'll be forced to change in many things. I mean, look at how Home Affairs does things. It's too digital, most of the stuff that they do, and they're very efficient. I was surprised that is this government. They're very efficient because now technology it's forcing everyone to change. Almost everyone is changing by force. It's either you're going to change or you're going to be left behind. Even if you're a senior person at a bigger institution, if you are not talking to the people on the ground, you're not talking to what's happening out there, you will be left behind. I mean, Nokia is another example. If you go and read the speech of Nokia CEO when he left, they said they did nothing wrong, but somehow they went out of business. Talks to that they will not be able to adopt into change, right? They just felt that this is the business model we're going with, and we're going to stick with this business model. So unfortunately, they say change is the only constant thing, and change comes at a price. If you're not going to change, organizations are going to pass you by. I mean, look at what Apple has done in the world. We found Nokia there. Apple has done amazing things. I'm not sure if Siemens is still there, Bruce. So all those things. So if you don't change, those things will force you.
So you see how he asks the oldest person, if Siemens is still there. Yes, it is, but not the phones. Let me just make a comment to add on to what he said, right? So you all know about the change curve. And if you don't want to change, you're going to get left behind. So what Nokia did wrong, they did do something wrong. They didn't change. The same thing that Kodak did. They didn't change. So you all hear about the Kodak moment. Anybody in varsity would have done a case study on Kodak and. But I think that the thing will come one day where not changing is more painful than changing. And that moment will inspire somebody to change. And we do it in the office all the time. So if there's something new coming into our business, you obviously try to do it with a carrot approach. Eventually, the only approach left is self-induced, and that's the stick. Whatever that stick may be, I now have to stand in a queue at a branch, and a lot of banks are closing branches. So before, that person would be able to drive 5 minutes and stand in a queue and get their stuff done. So why must I change? My grandmother was like that. One day they closed all the branches in the area, and it was a half-an-hour drive to the closest branch. Guess what? Very quickly they changed.
Thanks, Bruce.
I almost want to separate technology from business models. You know, if business models don't evolve to new technology, you go out of business. You know, I think some of the points around South Africa's unequal society, you know, I've worked for Investec, what does that mean? We cannot turn our back on technology. We will be taken out, right? They'll carry us out of the market. And so what we need to do is understand what business models we can implement that allows us to close the inequality gap, but not to do that through ignoring technology, but do that through exploiting technology. So even the older organizations, we have no choice but to find ways to embrace technology.
Now, and I just wanted to add that I think we are very impatient with each other as it relates to the different generations, right? And each generation is imposing on the next, and that's why we're seeing more and more and more resilience. And sometimes it's not even an old generation don't want to change. There's deep institutional knowledge that has made certain decisions to be taken at that time, because Also, flooding an organization with technology, an organization that's not mature, will be sitting here having the conversations. Why is it not adopting? Why is it not? Because we haven't cleaned our house before we started putting in these embellishments, right? So I do think that as organizations are different. An organization like Google can change in 24 hours. We have insurers that are paying claims. Literally, you send in your claim, 5 hours later, it's paid, but you still have insurers that are paying it like 7 days, right? It talks to the individual characteristics of an organization. What we need to start doing is segmenting our workforce and understanding it and creating personalized solutions for those different segments so that the adoption is better. Yeah, I think so. I just wanted to add because I see, especially in my space, I do organizational effectiveness, and this comes out all the time. Why can't we just do this? Why can't we just do this? But the team dynamics are not even there. The culture is not even a culture that even enables learning. But I have all these systems that I'm paying for, and people are sitting telling you, but I have no work-life balance. What must I do with this e-learning platform? I don't have time for it. And now it becomes a matter of the system is not serving us. No, your culture is not serving. So we need to better understand the drivers of the behaviors that we are seeing in organizations and not just assume.
100%. I think it's a combination of people, process, and technology, and not just the tech driving that. But I think also, if you're going to put it out there and the adoption is there, be ready to accommodate it.
Hi, I'm Karin Jafta. Just maybe some input regarding possibilities for technical social management, whereby such programs are very crucial with a developing country like ourselves when it comes to technology. Not looking at, if we look at Japan, people can't even have normal relationships. They have it on phone. They don't know how to have that social skill that technology cannot give you. So to be proactive in that, what is the prospects for Regenesis and also for all the companies that you are pushing this agenda of technology and AI? How are you protecting society, social values at the end of the day? Because it's happy families that create happy businesses and societies. So we need to be proactive and not end up like Japan, where young people commit suicide because their girlfriend that they never even met, just on the phone, broke up with them, for instance. Those are the realities. Even though we want to grow in technology, we have to value and protect family life, like he said. And that's a really big concern. I think we're going to sit with psychiatrists that will specialize more in counseling people on cell phone use than anything else. And how are we going to be responsible technology developers in our country to make sure we're not losing total focus? Thank you.
It's okay. So what we do in organization, especially financial institution, is to enforce governance. So before we deploy any technology or any solution, we make sure that that technology is compliant and there's governance process in place. One of the component of governance is ethics, ethical use of data and technology. Because in as much as, like, for example, I think some of my panelists talk about AI. AI is broad and it can be against human beings if it's not used ethically. So it's very important that when we adopt this new technology and tools, we are using it ethically, especially within organization and also within our personal spaces. Because you are right, if we are not considering governance and the benefits of human being, how does it serve human being at the end of the day? We'll find ourselves living through our cell phones and not interacting socially and learning about each other, because the biggest point is about the learning. What is getting us hooked in our mobiles is because there's information that we need to consume. But is this information regulated? I think this talks to why other countries have banned applications like TikTok, for example, because it's the learning that people are, is the information that people are consuming without being aware of the impact that it can have on themselves and their families and their well-beings. And I was reading an article not so long ago saying that one of the careers that is going to spike very soon is psychology, dealing with the mindset, because in as much as we don't see the damage now, but we are what we read, we are what we learn, without even realizing that we are building expectation of ourselves through the information that we are consuming. Now there's a lot of mental health issues and all of that, and most part of it is coming from the information that we are consuming from these platforms that are not properly governed. So one of the basic, or the foundational initiative that we put before we deploy any technology, especially within the bank, even if it's AI, we first check, do we have regulations within the country that gives us guidelines of which parameters or framework we can deploy these AI solutions. That is very, very important, because if it's not properly governed, it can work against human being. We also have ESG that talk about social part. Most organization also, we do business, we identify partners based on the governance and ethics that we put in place. So there are some businesses that will not partner with you unless they know that you've got governance and you include social aspect on as part of your governance and you are monitoring it.
That's a very clinical answer, right? And I'm more inclined to look at the past and look around me to find answers for the future. So I don't think many things happen in our world and into the future that hasn't happened or we've seen before. It's just different. And I think it's for us to connect those dots from the past, the current, into the future. And to answer your question on how do you get around it, you are 100% right. That is part of the answer. The other part of the answer, I believe, is education. Now, if anybody's got children, you had to teach your children stuff. You had to give them boundaries. Some people do it through fear. Some people do it through recognition. But you still educate. You have to still tell people what the good and the bad so that they can make a decision. You'll never, ever stop people from doing things just because you said no, or there's a governance framework, or there's a this or a that. They have to understand the positive side of it, the negative side of it, and then make a decision for themselves. The dark web exists because of that. We've got all the regulations in the world, but it still exists. Do we teach people about it? Do they understand it? And that's, I think, how we answer the future. But we've all done it before. We've all got families. We've looked into the past. We've, got children. It's just applying it in a different part of the space.
I'm sorry, I'm the other voice. First of all, I think societies evolve. The Industrial Revolution changed the extended family into the nuclear family. And so the question is not how do we stop different social structures developing, but that how do we make sure that they're healthy for society and healthy for individuals? And I don't know what that looks like or what that means. But I do think that what research has shown us is that there are certain human activities where you don't have free will. And if you think of the movement against sugar, if you consume sugar, you form a dependence on it. And so that's why some supermarkets have moved sugar away from the exit aisle and have moved it to higher shelves. There's a human behavioral reason for that. And so I agree that in consumer electronics, in social media, we don't have a grasp on the human impact of it and whether people can actually self-moderate. I think that is a societal issue. I think that is a global societal issue. I think the way we have to deal with it is to talk about it. And it will result in regulation, but I don't know at this stage how South Africa can have America regulate themselves differently and stop treating us as a provider of income. And so I think it is a global issue that we have to deal with. I think your view around what do our banks do, we're absolutely well regulated. But I think how is society going to evolve? I think we need to solve that. You can't rely on the technologists to.
Thank you. Last question, and then we're closing.
Is this me now? Good. Yes. Firstly, in the
Thanks,
interest of
Dr.
governance
James.
and compliance, I have to disclose I'm a Time Bank customer, so just putting that out there. Hello, everybody. My name's James. I teach here at Regenesis, and I'm currently reading leading a research program into understanding the experience of lecturers in teaching first-year students online. And a couple of interesting things are coming out of this. One of it is that we've actually, and this is I'm talking about education broadly, and I'm talking about the tertiary education CHE type model. We've basically taken the model of classroom lecture, formative and summative assessments, and just pushed it online. And, we've put jam boards and panels and breakout rooms and things like that, but basically it doesn't change over there. An interesting that's emerging from this research is that that's fine, and that's not an invalid way of teaching. But if we look at how people consume social media, it's a continual partial attention to this. So they'll be sitting in their bed in the morning, they'll be catching up in the world. At lunchtime, they'll look at a few things. In a meeting like this, lots of people are catching up on things over there. And the message that's emerging that instead of having a education which is focused on an event like a lecture, and then an event like an assessment, and then like an examination, it should be a continual process of pushing information to the student. Now, there was a very important word that came out in the conversation. I'm looking at the nice man who said it. It's agency. And I think what online education does it pushes the agency from the teacher, the facilitator, the lecturer, to dispense the information to the learner taking control of this. And this is what online digital learning can do, is allowing the student greater agency to extract, interpret, and apply what they've learned in the classroom, which might spend over time, into the workplace. I'd like the panel to riff on that in the time we have available.
I agree.
I think lecturers should be influencers, but I also agree. I think the point you made there talks to what you mentioned earlier, to say flexibility. So the agency is no longer the timelines that the lecturers are giving to the students to say, I want this done by Friday. Lecturers can decide, I can submit anytime by Friday. So it doesn't, unlike the old ways of doing things where we'll be in your office every day and submitting this research. Now I can submit anytime. So it's either I submit before Friday or I submit right on the day of submission. And you even mentioned 1 minute before midnight. So what this says is that learning has become so flexible that imagine if you have given a student 7 days to do the work and they do it within 2 days, it leaves them with time. And I think that's one thing that online learning gives, is flexibility and time. But the question is, with the time that I have, is if I'm only a student, what am I going to be doing? I am currently mentoring a student that is doing computer science in UCT. And I told this student that I don't doubt that you are going to complete your student, but the challenge is by the time you complete a student, are you going to be employable? Because people are learning out there and everyone has got the right qualification. But what is going to be a differentiator between you and someone else that did the same qualification in another university? So while you have time, now there's flexibility. You can submit stuff earlier. And what are you going to do with the remaining time? Start to practice what you're learning in such a way that when you're done, you can say, I've done this project while I'm learning. And that is the flexibility that online provides. So we no longer rely on the course design that is only provided in the lecture, but you have enough time to go and implement based on that knowledge, start implementing and work and create projects on what you have learned. So with everything that we have said, I think what stood out for me is that now the agency is pushed from the student side, but the responsibility from the student side is, with this flexibility, what are we going to do with the remaining time?
You would have heard me talk about my daughter earlier, right? So she did online learning for matric and she got her best result ever in her matric finals. And I wish we had done it as parents earlier, but because we didn't understand it, we forced her to sit in a class her whole high school career. But I think what it does do, what you've said, and I agree with everybody, is it gives people accountability. And I think one of the greatest things you can have in an organization is accountability. So if you've been given a task to do or a role to do, you need to go and do it. You're not going to be told by your manager every day, please don't forget you need to do this. And by 12 o'clock, you need to have done that. I've worked with people that have 2, 3, 4 master's degrees. They're totally useless in the workplace. Absolutely useless. I've worked with other people who've not been to, formal education after school, and they're one of the best people you can have because they've had to fight through life to get where they are. They've taken personal accountability. So I think by doing the online, it's moving it, to your point, into the students' hands, and they're going to do better. But not all students will work that way. Like my son, like I mentioned, he needs to be in the class, so we need to teach him accountability other ways, making his bed, packing the dishwasher, those type of things.
You're not talking about us, ne?
Thank you. I want to conclude. I think that was very exciting. You are all esteemed panel members, and you've really given food for thought. And I think where cloud-based learning is going, and we can see it with the youth, with sports stars or swimmers and tennis now embracing online learning and getting focused on their actual sport and making time to attend to other activities, but completing their education as well. That's very, very exciting times. And then also that social responsibility. We see youth or teenagers going into digital rehab these days and trying to get away from their phones. So it is a bit of a mixed bag. Your insights and your experience and your input has been very valuable. I think it's been an amazing discussion. Thank you for keeping it flowing. And then, as we spoke about our grandmothers, my grandmother, I installed Wi-Fi at her old age home, and she said, "Thank you very much, Corey. I just have one problem. It's broken." And I said, "Gran, what's the problem?" She said, "It doesn't follow me outside of the house." So we have our challenges, and the adoption is there, and with that adoption comes additional challenges. But I thank you again for your time, and thank you everybody for attending, and have a great day. And for those who've missed it, passed it on, and they can watch it online. Thank you very much. Indrani, do you want to give a closing word?
I just want to thank everyone again. Can you hear me? There we go. Am I on now? Thank you. It was quite not just informative, it was an exciting discussion. It's a discussion like the question we got from Alex. It's a discussion because we're moving into an era that we don't know. When we talk for decades, organizations were designed to manage an industrial environment. Thanks for that, Tress, that you bring into our knowledge in designing our programs. And she was doing a piece on leadership in the new age. And it talks about that we've only been geared up until this point about preserving stability, scale, predictability. And this approach is ill-suited for the new age of leadership. And so you've brought in the elements that we're talking about, but there is no models for it. It's just evolved, and I put it down to COVID again. It's accelerated us into the future. We knew this was coming. And we probably imagined, as the X generation that I can see on the panel as well, that the millennials and the alpha generation will fit into this. I'm listening to your son studying online, Corey's son, who's in the top 10 tennis players in our country as well. His focus is on that, right? And this is the millennial cusp alpha generation. It's about prioritizing what's important to them, and education then fits in as one of their components, whereas the prior generations, like let's look at the X's, they were all about structure, education. And so if you engage, it'll always be about their professional development. Whereas the millennials and alpha are looking at holistic development, something Regenesis introduced, mind you, 25 years ago. When we came up with Regenesis, it was all about personal mastery, how we develop the 5 intelligences. So when you walk in through our doors or join us online as our students, some 10,000 students that we have currently now, you learn about, and we've always taught that, emotional intelligence. We believe everyone's endowed with IQ, but then we harness and awaken. Why do we use the word awaken? Because we don't teach it to you. It's something you already have. But how do we hone in on our strengths of emotional intelligence, to lead self, to manage self, to be able to extend out into teams and organization and make impact in the world? The spiritual intelligence, to take you into a C-suite role. We believe that you can't be tactical. It's about who am I And we're not talking religion when we talk spiritual quotient. We're talking about who am I? What is my purpose? What is my impact in the world? What is my uniqueness that I bring into what I love doing? Finding that Japanese concept of ikigai, living a life of meaning. How do I take what I love doing, what I'm passionate about doing, and how can I get paid for it to form that alliance? And I just want to tap into what Mackenzie's report showed us about the leadership in the new age, and you've covered that, so it's my summarizing point. We spoke about what we focus on currently as managers, delivering profit, and a preservation mindset. And to go beyond this, we need to have impact. So we need to think visionary, generating holistic, and a mindset of possibility. How do we create value currently? And that's what you're talking about in the tech space, AI space, cybersecurity space, right? We're talking about currently we're planning and competing for existing values, and that's about a competitive mindset. Now, if we looked at Pestle 2 decades ago, your Pestle was your current location, your geolocation, and something geopolitical that came in from a global landscape but didn't quite affect us. Now we're in a global village. So we have to move away from competition to co-creation. As architects, and a lot of IT architects here, how do we create value through reimagining a mindset of abundance? How do we organize as directors currently? We organize, and you spoke about it, hierarchy, working in a fishbowl, then I'm evolved. People don't care about that anymore. And I'm talking generationally, millennials and alphas don't care about that. So we're moving from command to collaboration. We're moving from controlling to evolution. And how do we show up? We're moving from a professional meet expectations mindset to wholeness. As a human being, how do I show up? And so when we take technology even though we want to divorce it from management models, it's not about divorcing it. It's about how do we co-create new models? How do we use this? And how do we embrace our future generations? And how do they embrace the knowledge that sits in the prior generation to able to have structure while having fluidity? And we're going to an era of co-creation. So how do we coexist with multi-generations to really have impact on people, profit, and planet? So I leave you with that. And the only way we can do that is embracing tech. And I loved what you said as well. If we don't change, we're going to be in a situation where change is forced upon us. And Jack Welch says that brilliantly in his book, Winning. He says, when the rate of change outside of your organization is faster than the rate of change inside, the end is near. So it's going to happen. Let's rather show up, stand up, and embrace this. Thank you very much. Let's have a round of applause for our panelists. I think they were exceptional. You really opened a thinking organization here. And we're inviting you back to meet with us personally at Regenesis and get to explore how do you support our School of Technology? How do you inform the type of models that we want to have for leadership in the new digital age? Thank you once again.